Hi, room 6. Today I'm sitting somewhere new to make a video for you. I'm in Mela's room today. Shh, don't tell her. You can see behind me there's a poster by Dave Pilkey, who made the Captain Underpants books and Dogman books. It's pretty cool. Today we're going to read a book called Isla, which is a word in Spanish, which means island. The author of this book is Arthur Doros, and it's illustrated by someone named Elisa Clevin. She is one of my very favorite illustrators, and maybe when we're back in the classroom together, I can show you more of her books. Her illustrations are very, very detailed, so I'm going to do my best to get up close to the camera so you can see. Like in this picture, that's a picture of the island, and you can see buildings and animals and the ocean. It's really beautiful. So in this book, a girl is going to travel with her grandmother in their imaginations. So they're not taking a real trip. While we're reading, I want you to think about, how could you take a trip in your imagination? Where would you like to go? You're also going to notice while I'm reading that there's a lot of words in Spanish in this book. And some of you will understand them because you already speak Spanish, but the rest of you, I think, will be able to figure them out while I'm reading because of the other words around them and about what's happening in the story. If you think about those things, it'll help you figure out what the word means. Or I can tell you what they mean if it's really hard to understand. So while I'm reading, I want you to think about what connections can you make to this story. Places that you might like to visit, things that you might like to see. And I'll stop and ask you some questions while I'm reading. There's the picture on the first page. So this is the girl and this is her grandma, who's called Abuela, which is how you say grandma in Spanish. When Abuela, my grandma, tells me stories, we can fly anywhere. Today she's telling me about La Isla, the island where she grew up. We are flying there together. So they're going to fly in their imaginations. We travel a long, long way to where it is always warm. Mira, Abuela calls, mira, Esmeralda. I look. I see her island sparkling like a green jewel in the sea. Aire tropical, says Abuela, taking a deep breath. The hot, damp air smells salty. We fly over forests, fields, and tiny towns to visit Tío Fernando, Tía Isabel, and my cousin Elena. Even though we're up high, they see us and wave. Tío Fernando is my uncle, my mama's brother. Abuela is their mother. She raised them on La Isla. So it looks like this is where Abuela used to live, and now she's moved to live somewhere different with the girl who's telling the story. Bienvenidas, Tío Fernando welcomes us. He and my mama grew up in this house with Abuela and Abuelo, my grandfather. Abuelo died before I was born. Now Tío Fernando lives here with his family. I think he looks like my mama, except he has a beard. El osito, Abuela calls him, the little bear. So take a minute and think about, who would you like to visit if you could go somewhere in your imagination? Is there someone in your family you haven't seen for a long time who you would like to go and visit? Is there a place that you've never been before that you'd like to visit? You can tell somebody who you're watching the video with, or you can tell me, and I'm listening. Abuela shows me all around. In the front room, she and Abuelo used to run a little store. That makes me think about the book we read yesterday, where Hetty went to the store. On the wall next to a picture of the store is a painting of Tío Fernando with a giant fish. ¡Qué pescado!, Abuela says, telling me what a fish it was. Tío Fernando found it in a shallow stream. He brought it home to keep for a pet. Abuela said the fish would be happier in the river. Tío Fernando was sad to see it go, so Abuela painted the picture for him. That is a big fish. Los niños, Abuela says, showing me a picture of some children. It is my mama and Tío Fernando playing in a fountain. Abuela and Abuelo built the fountain with stones from the rainforest. It's still in the yard. Es mágica, Abuela says. The fountain does seem magical. The water splashing over stones sounds like birds singing. Now, Abuela wants to show me more of La Isla. Elena says she'll meet us later at the beach. Que disfruten, she calls. She wants us to have fun. Can I show you that picture? That's the magical fountain. Vamos a la selva, says Abuela. We're going to the rainforest, where the fountain stones came from. We fly there with parrots flapping beside us. The treetops are a bright garden, I tell Abuela. Y una sombrilla, Abuela says. They are an umbrella, too. Imagine that you could go and visit the rainforest. What animals do you think you could see there? What animals would you like to see? Down below, it is dark and cool. Como la noche, like night, Abuela tells me. But she can scoop up a tree frog or a lizard running on a leaf. I wonder if they have poison dart frogs. Forest eyes are open wide. My eyes are open too. Hay mucho más que ver, Abuela says, taking off. There is much more for us to see. We fly to the busy old city, zooming between colored buildings and over blue brick streets. Above the square, Abuela and I spin and dip for the people below. Pájaros grandes jugando, Abuela says and laughs. We are like big birds playing. We zoom down to the harbor where the big ships are. De todo el mundo, Abuela tells me. They come from all over the world. Mira, she points to a large building. It was made by Spanish people who sailed to the island hundreds of years ago. Abuela and Abuelo used to come to the city to buy things for their store. Ha cambiado, Abuela sighs. The city has changed. Now there are tall buildings and parking lots and supermarkets. Vamos al viejo mercado, she says. She wants to go to an old market, and we do go, soaring above the highways. Think about somewhere you might go where you could see buildings like this, big, tall buildings, lots of cars in the street. Have you ever gone somewhere that looks like that? I bet you have in our city. To an old market in the countryside. People call out what they are selling. Plátanos, mangoes, papayas, cocos, piñas dulces, Abuela calls. All the things they just said were, plátanos is bananas. Mangos is the same in English and Spanish, mangoes. Papayas is also the same. Cocos is coconuts. And piñas dulces is sweet pineapple. When she was little, her family grew sweet pineapples to bring to the market. The market is hot and crowded. Soon we are ready to cool off. Where could they go to cool off? Vamos a nadar, Abuela says. She used to swim here when she was my age. Ven, she takes my hand and we dive in. All kinds of fish flash around us. Round fish, thin fish, fish with stripes and fish with spots. Abuela leaps and dives too. Nuestro circo, she says. We have our own circus. Mi pez volador, she tells me. I'm her flying fish. Imagine that you could go to the beach with your family. What kind of fish would you like to be in the water? Tia Isabel, Tio Fernando, and Cousin Elena join us. Tio Fernando is wearing his snorkeling goggles. Abuela jokes that he looks like a forest frog. We float on our backs, and the water meets the sky. We can float anywhere in their imaginations. When we get home, we're hungry from our swimming. Volemos, Abuela calls. We fly up into the treetop to pick ripe mangoes. Our hands get sticky from the syrupy juice. Abuela picks the ripest ones for Elena and me. We'll help make a salad with mangoes and other island fruits. I'll tell Elena about what I've seen on her island. After our meal, we sit in the garden. Birds, insects, and even frogs are chirping. Nos cantan, Abuela says. They are singing to us. The plants around us smell sweet and strong. It feels like the garden is our room with las estrellas, the stars, our ceiling. Ya es hora de partir, Abuela announces. It is time to go. The stars will light our way. Where do you think they're going to go if it's time to go? Remember, this whole trip has been inside their imaginations. We fly through the night, back toward home, when we see New York City. The lights look like thousands of stars. Es mágica, I say to Abuela. Sí, she agrees. Es mágica, which means it's magic. Looks like they're going home. Yep. After so much flying, we need to sleep. Abuela asks me what I'm thinking about. La Isla, I tell her. Nuestra Isla, she tells me. I do feel like it is our island. We can visit it any time. Pronto, Abuela says. Soon. So they can visit that island any time in their imaginations. Where do you wish you could go in your imagination? I hope you enjoyed that story and all the trips that you can take in your imagination. So today is Thursday, which means that it's time for Mystery Science. So today's mystery is all about the imagination too. It's about dragons. Do dragons really exist? So this Mystery Science show is going to tell us about dragons and why people have always had stories about dragons. What was it that gave them the idea that dragons might exist? Let's see what we can find out. Okay, I'll see everybody tomorrow. Goodbye.